Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of What the Trans.
What the Trans? Hello, howdy.
Yeah, baby, it's us. We are back. How you doing, Flint?
I'm doing well. You know how my sleep last night was. I've got.
Yes.
I left two. We might even put them in the pod and see. I'll send them over to Amber. See how funny it is to juxtapose them because there is one voice note that I put in 4:15 in the morning.
Yes.
Just a little update from me. Nothing bad, just where I'm at. So I have been unable to get to sleep. No, let's be more truthful than that. I've been intermittently asleep and intermittently playing blueprints. All is well, all is good. I've just not really been able to get down. So I've become an architect. Cue backrooms music. Anyway, not what I'm here for. I'm not trying to do bits.
And then the next thing in the chat was me at like at like 8 in the morning.
Listen. I just think it would be pretty neat if my body let me sleep for longer than like 3.5 hours at a time. 3 hours. That'd be cool. Actually. Currently, someone could put on the Odyssey and I wouldn't be able to sleep through it. Foolish of me to be like, oh, maybe you won't see me until the afternoon. Lies.
I mean, aside from sleep deprived, I've been playing blueprints. That's been really good, really fun. I've been playing blueprints. I started playing blueprints, and then Harry came over, and Harry fell into the Whaley house. Is that the Whaley house? The house in America that has all of the different things in the staircases to nowhere.
Yes.
But it
Yes.
just fell into the pit that is that puzzle. I fell asleep and napped at one point, and I woke up and he was like 20 days ahead, doing all sorts of cool stuff, and I was like, amazing! I'm gonna see what this is. I've not figured out many bits, but it's just quite funny because, like, insomnia be like that.
Obviously, we've had this conversation, and you've told me about blueprints in depth, obviously, but just tell the audience what it is.
Blueprints is basically what if you had to play Tetris with a house in order to get an inheritance you didn't know you were ready for or in line to. So like you basically have like you go in and every day you like open a door and then you draw a room and you pick a room, and it kind of operates in a way that you could imagine as a really cool board game. And there's like little puzzles in there. The parlor game puzzles are great. The parlor room, the billiard room, those puzzles are so fun. There's so much cool stuff. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface and we're on day, I don't know, like 40 or something, if not more. It's really fun, really interesting, really cool. And then each day you have a certain amount of steps you can take with rooms that you can open. And rooms will have different endings on them, so you have to make sure you're still building them, and depending upon what lot you get, you can end up locked up. But basically at the end of each day you have to literally call it a day, and then when you're done, it resets in the next day. You have to start from the very beginning, and the rooms can still be about you, like draw different rooms and whatnot. It's the Winchester house, not the Whaley house. But that's why I brought up the Winchester house. Because it kind of is like a game where you're building the Winchester house. It changes every fucking day and everything.
You've got this inheritance that you weren't aware that you were entitled to.
Yeah.
But you have to stay in your great old relative's famously 45-roomed mansion.
Yeah.
But you have to find the 46th room.
That is exactly it. Yes.
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 Yeah, no, I know. One of my partners has been playing it as well, so I'm broadly familiar with it. Yeah, sounds fun. I might give it a go at some point, but because I got my reading glasses, I've just been falling through the page. I've been hitting the books.
Just promise me one thing. You hit those books, okay? He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So there was Dawley Hall, very much liked it, very much looking forward to the second book. It's from, like, you don't call it web series, but, like, written fiction that's on AO3, I think.
Yeah.
So I can just go and look at it right now, but I want to see it after an editor has been near it, because that's probably a good idea, I think. So The Sisters of Dawley, have a look at it. It's of particular interest / piquancy to my trans sisters. Hello, darlings.
Can confirm.
But yeah, so I've just been nailing through the books. I've started reading Don't Talk About Politics. I've read Dawley Hall. Oh, and I've also read a book called Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed, who you might know from books like The Wolf and the Woodsman, A Study in Drowning, Lady Macbeth, which is some queer love. Like the dedication in the start of Fable was, to all my queer girls out there, your love will save the world.
Oh, and cute. Love that. I say cute, that sounds infantilizing. That's genuinely wonderful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And like so many media things do recently, it made me cry. So that was fun. And, I was trying to sneakily put it back on the bookshelf without revealing to the other two that I was crying. So, so yeah, that was good. So I've just been hitting the books, really. And I've switched on like Disco Elysium and Helldivers, and then I thought, no, I don't want to do this, and just switched it off again. So
yeah. I've kind of had the opposite vibe. I've recently, I think, rewatched The Backrooms twice.
Okay.
I'm not generally someone that rewatches things over and over. What I do like to do, in the way that I like to rewatch things, is I'll happily rewatch things with people who like either want to watch the thing that I've already seen before, because then like I'm like, yeah, I get to share the thing, and it's kind of less about me rewatching the thing. It's more about the experience with the friend and being able to like vibe.
Yeah.
So I've just had a couple of opportunities to be like, Backrooms? And it's been great. It's been good. Shall we get into things?
Yeah, we should get into it, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's get out of the back rooms and into the back alleys.
Yep, into Action Alley.
Alright, Action Alley is up, and the first thing we have on the order is the new mass lobby. So Trans Solidarity Alliance is having another go at planning a mass lobby, and it will be on the 9th of September, so put that day in your diary, and hopefully the lethal heat waves will be long gone by then. Please.
We can but hope. Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
great. And the wildfires, that'd be super if those were to stop as well. We've got a couple of links, well, one link in particular about the EHRC code is about to come into force. What now? What do we do now? And so there's some helpful points there. Next up, the Sandyford waitlist. The Sandyford Gender Clinic, that's the one in Glasgow with a 224-year wait for a first appointment, is currently reviewing its waitlist. Those referred to the clinic before August 2024 should contact the clinic if they haven't already done so, or else you might be purged from the list. You've got until the 9th of August to contact Sandyford if you've not already heard from them. Again, we will put a link from Scottish Trans into the usual place.
Next up is Sex Matters and the Charity Commission. So the Good Law Project have sent a complaint to the Culture Secretary, that is now Lisa Nandy, and to the Charity Commission about the conduct of Sex Matters. As part of this, the GLP have made a form on their website, so now you too can bug Nandy and the Charity Commission about this problem.
And you absolutely should, by the way. Lisa Nandy might come up a little bit later on in the show, but hold on to your hats for that. And finally, Trans Kids Deserve to Grow Up have a campaign that they are looking for signatures for. You'll hear more about this in the coming days and weeks, but, do have a look in the show notes, as ever, for something to find a link to, and you can add your voice, and you can add your name to the list for that campaign. We've done Action Alley, we're well into it now. It's time to pond hop.
Pond hopping, we're hopping across the pond. How bad could it be?
How bad can it be? Right, so we're going to start off with something a little lighter. A story of someone responding to one of Trump's rambling insults with some goddamn class. Last Friday, as we record this, was the White House Correspondents' Dinner, an occasion usually marked with some roasting of whoever the president happens to be. Sometimes it's pretty light, like it was with Obama, and sometimes it's pretty scathing, like it was with George Bush II. It's normally held in April, but as you might remember, as the event was getting going on April 25th this year, shots were fired near the main security screening area, so the event was evacuated and was postponed until July 24th. During the event, the first correspondence dinner Trump had elected to attend, he didn't go at all during his first term as president. Trump told a joke that's going to take a bit of explaining. So let me just whiz through some context here. Caitlin Collins is a journalist who, right before El Trumpo was due to speak at the dinner, won an award for her reporting on that really, really tense meeting between Trump, J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that you might remember from the end of February last year. After she won said award, Trumpsky got up and said, quote, "I thought Caitlin had really made it big with a major new sponsorship, but then I informed her that it wasn't her on the Bud Light can, it was Dylan Mulvaney." Referencing something that happened 3 years ago when trans influencer Mulvaney put out a short video on Instagram showing a Bud Light can with her likeness on it. I honestly can't remember if we covered this at the time, but the predictable thing happened and the transphobes went, in journalistic terms, absolutely cuckoo bananas over it. They shot cases of Bud Light, they dumped it out without drinking it, seemingly not understanding that Bud doesn't really care what you do with it once you've bought it because they've already got your money. Anyway, it was a whole thing. We'll provide links if you're that interested. So, with Trumpington having made this rather daft remark, which again references things that happened 3 years ago and is only an insult if you think being compared to a smoking hot trans woman is an insult, Mulvaney, of course, clapped back. She congratulated Caitlin Collins for her award and said that she was honoured to be compared to Collins in any way. She also raised a good point shortly afterwards. Mulvaney said that she'd been generally keeping a low profile after the whole Bud Light thing, and then said, quote, "I am still his topic of conversation all these years later, and it seems to me that I might be like the one that got away for these men. Like, I am permanently burned into their retinas. I am microchipped into their minds." Followed by, quote, "Maybe being publicly mocked and criticised by this administration is actually like the greatest compliment of all, because it puts me in the company of some of like the most brilliant, empathetic people in our world today," which, yeah, she's right. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, as they say. She went on in a hopeful vein, and the whole video is only 4 minutes. We will, of course, link to it, so watch it if you've got the time. But she finished up with a call to action, with a quick list of 3 things that people can do in these trying times. First, obviously, support trans and non-binary people. Quote, "We need you to stand up for us, vote for us, donate to our causes, hire us, and support the businesses who hire us. But most importantly, love us. This is what we need more than anything right now, publicly and proudly." Second, she said to young trans and non-binary people specifically watching the video, "I need you to hold on to every piece of yourself tightly, especially the parts that they are trying to make you feel guilty about or trying to scare you into abandoning, and I need you to find people who will help you carry those pieces into a kinder day." Finally, she said, "When they tell you that you look like a trans woman, wear it like a medal. Men, when they tell you that being attracted to trans women makes you gay, I want you to Hillary Duff PSA their ass so hard that they don't even know what just happened." That's a reference to some 2008 public service announcement films in which Duff discouraged people from using gay or queer as pejorative terms.
"When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off."
And finally, she said, quote, "To the dolls, let's have each other's backs. And lastly, to the president, thank you for reminding me that I am more powerful than even I knew," before dancing to a Shay Diamond song. Personally, I'd have done an evil laugh myself, but perhaps that's just a generational difference thing. So there's a bit that I do just want to pull out that Trump said. The bit Trump said, "I thought Caitlin had made it really big with a major new sponsorship, but then I informed her." Like make up your mind, Trumpovich. Who thought what about it and who was doing the informing?
"Do you realize what you say? Knock it off."
Be consistent with your nonsense, please.
At this point, I think expecting Trump to be coherent is...
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, expecting him to be coherent is expecting a fish to jump a tree. Like, it's not gonna happen. To be so real, I don't think there's anything I can truly say about Trump on this platform that isn't gonna put me or this podcast at fucking risk. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, right with you. I think if you're worried about putting us on a watch list, pretty sure we're going to be on them already.
We will
Dave.
be.
Let's move on. Let's go to that place we wish we were still part of, the EU.
Yeah. So we're going Dutch now. So, smoke 'em if you got 'em. The Independent Scientific Advisory Body for the Dutch government has recently completed a review of trans healthcare for young people and found, quote, research shows that hormone treatments are physically effective and that they seem to improve mental health. Thankfully, they provided a press release in English, because you could fill a dictionary with what we don't know about Dutch. Did you know that their word for health is Gesundheit? I actually did know this. Exactly because of that, because my housemate will say Gesundheit when someone sneezes sometimes.
Yeah.
For that matter, we also don't know much about the present state of trans healthcare for Dutch young people. From what's available in English, we can tell that there's still a fair bit of caution in the air, as are questions about the decision-making competence of young trans people. But even if we can't fully investigate all the vibes, we can take solace in the fact that the Dutch experts are able to say hormones are effective and that trans people benefit from being allowed the power to make decisions about their own bodies. So let's have another quote. Autonomy in healthcare is not only a prerequisite, but also a goal, enabling individuals to set and achieve their own life goals. Seriously, it is worth celebrating the medical professionals are able to say hormones are effective. We should remember a few months ago we saw an NHS review claiming to have no evidence that estrogen caused breasts to grow for young trans people, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that was pretty wild, wasn't it?
Ugh.
So this was this episode, right, we were conscious that the last episode was really tough, right? Really kind of hard going, a lot of fairly depressing things in it. So we've kind of deliberately counterpointed this episode, which is kind of mostly good news.
Oh, was that deliberate? Because I generally thought it was just what had shaken out.
I mean, yeah, it was what had shaken out, but let's pretend it was deliberate and then it seems like we plan ahead.
Oh, yeah, so some of that polishing. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It's nice and it's good and it's affirming to see a reasonable and well-rounded approach to science. I enjoy that.
Yes.
More of it, please. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. More of it, please. And bring some of that over to this country. Dutch information and science is going to be used as evidence in the rest of the EU. They're going to be able to point to a Dutch study and say, well, actually, it was found that transition was helpful in da-da-da-da-da ways, right? So that's going to have knock-on effects in Germany and Norway and France and all the rest of it. So I hope that happens and that kind of body of evidence builds until it is unassailable, and by which point the pendulum swings the other way and we get to use some of that and go back to not being such a batshit country.
Yeah, we can. Let's hope and dream. Let's start speaking about our dreams as if they've already happened, which is something that will be relevant later.
So, kind of on the subject of sciencey, patient-y, healthcare-y stuff, definitely a counterpoint. Where music it would be contrapuntal, because this story, not super. So the NHS has announced changes to its Core Information Standard, an acronym which ironically, of course, spells out cis. Changes to this standard will alter how sex and gender are recorded by the NHS, and the recommendations are directly in response to the transphobic Sullivan Review. The new system will record sex observed at birth as a mandatory field, with there being optional fields for gender identity and pronouns. It's unclear at this stage what the new standard means for anyone who's previously changed their sex information in the NHS system, or what that means for anyone who would like to do so. In a statement on the changes, Transactual said, a historical sex marker alone cannot be the basis for clinical decisions. It does not tell you if a patient needs a cervical or a prostate screening, or give a full picture of a patient's needs. The infiltration of politics into clinical settings is creating more barriers to accessing healthcare for the trans community and leaving us all less safe as a result. We have contacted NHS England about the changes, and naturally, we are still awaiting a response. So yes, this was a bit of a oh fuck you when the news dropped of this one, I think.
Yeah, it just felt like some real pencil pusher kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't like this. And if this kind of thing concerns you, if the way in which your data is logged and the way in which data is sort of shared and whatnot in the NHS concerns you, you can do what is called well. There's a national data opt out. This is a service that lets you basically keep your confidential patient information like confidential. It can't be shared to be used for like research and stuff. Because sometimes people that undertake research are not your friend. This is something that I did years ago for other reasons relating to neurodivergence. It's there and available. And if that is something that helps you feel a little bit like, okay, well, at least if they're going to do this fuckery, I can limit how widely it's used, then I'd recommend that. It helps me a little bit when I see news like this. I'm like, I know I'm still affected by that, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I've done at least the one thing I know I can do right now about it, aside from leave the country, which I wish.
What the trans Norway? Moving on.
So, if we want something that's happening in England that isn't quite so shit, well, this episode wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about the biggest gathering for trans rights that the UK has likely ever seen to date, clocking in at an approximate 150,000 people. London Trans Pride took place this last weekend. And in case you weren't there yourself, of course, many listeners and followers may have already seen our reporting on Blue Sky, specifically from Alex, Christina, and Shroomy as it was happening, which is still available, as well as photography, so, go check it out. But rather than us to waffle on or recap it, Shroomy has written up some thoughts from the scene afterwards that we will read for you now. The march was humongous. I struggled to find other What the Trans folks, and then once I did, we only saw each other for like literally 2 minutes. But it was nice to see everybody. I ran into a few other friends as well. We took lots of pictures that we're still editing, lots of amazing placards, huge pride quilts. Everyone was super stylish too. I ended up being at the tail end of the march, and because the police refused to close the roads, that part of it just stood there for like literally 2 hours. So I ended up going to a cafe and just waiting for it to move, as they would move like 2 meters at a time and then stop again. But eventually, it moved properly. Christina hypothesized that this was maybe because closing the roads would mean admitting that it was genuinely a big protest. Similar to how the BBC refused to describe trans pride as a protest. I'll let the listeners decide on that. Honestly, as someone who has been feeling a bit doomery and burnt out on protests, it's been really uplifting to see the community come together like this. It reaffirmed in my mind that even when things are so shit, we've been through worse and we'll get through this too. It showed me just how loved and supported trans people really are, and just how many of us there are. My favourite thing is I felt like every trans pride I see middle-aged ladies giving free mum hugs, and I think that's so wholesome, so I redeemed a couple of those. I also caught a few of the speeches at the end, and here's a few quotes that resonated with me. I loved femininity, but I didn't love that it was assigned to me. That's Brittany Rose. Then another quote. Please get into the business of saying your dreams like they already happened. You are thousands of people mighty. It is a banquet to be trans, to paint ourselves in euphoria. Shroomy didn't catch the name of the person, but they're a musician, and they loved their entire speech. Andy, we don't want fucking mercy, we want our fucking civil rights back. Which was one of the organisers, also unfortunately did not catch the name, because it was such a busy and big time, understandably. There was also a newish, I think, project that's trying to tackle the issue of trans homelessness in London, which I also forgot the name of. So if anyone can please remind us of the names of these people, please tell us in the podcast comments, through the Discord. I also liked Sarah Jane Baker's speech, but I don't have exact quotes. But basically, she talked about her prison activism and said things along the lines of, even if you're a criminal, even if you do bad shit, you can still be trans and you still deserve gender-affirming care. She was also topless and wearing a keffiyeh and had Free Gaza written on her chest and belly, which Kai describes as queen shit. And then ends it with, love you all, Kai/Rumi. So, amazing.
Love you too, babes.
Yeah. And Alex was also armed with a microphone and got some vox pops for us from some wonderful people. That is Juno Dawson, the famed author, screenwriter, and actress. Dee Whitnell from Trans Kids Deserve to Grow Up, who we also interviewed previously for their book, Beyond Bananas and Condoms, about queer sex education. And Sophie from Defund Transphobes. Now, Alex asked them the same questions, so we're going to hand it over to our astronomically skilled editor-in-chief, Amber, to create one of those super polished and cool news journalism montages.
All right, I'm with Juno Dawson, she, her. Hello, I'm with Dee, they, them, outside of the BBC Langham Palace at the London Trans Pride. All right, I'm with Sophie, she, her from Defund Transphobe. What brings you to London Trans Pride today?
Well, I think it's the most important event of the year, right? It's where every trans or cis ally should be. It's our protest. It's making our voice heard.
So this year I am here with my campaign, Trans Kids Deserve to Grow Up, and I'm trying to get as many signatures as possible to ensure the safety of trans youth, the inclusion of trans youth within schools, and just to be as vocal as possible for trans youth.
I'm here because I think the time for being polite has ended. I think, civil rights movements never move along through being polite, so I think we need to demand change at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I think the BBC was refusing to report on this protest previously, wanting to call it a celebration instead of a protest. What are your thoughts on that?
The BBC needs to learn what balance actually means. Trans people exist. We are real. We are here. We're not going to go anywhere. And obviously this is a huge, huge protest. And for them to not report on it feels like bias. And the BBC is not allowed to be biased. So
the wording is completely accurate. Right now, more than ever, celebration and awareness goes as far as it can, but we need more than that. We need a protest. We need to be loud. We need to be angry because we're not getting through by just celebrating who we are. We need them to see us for who we are and be loud about it. So the BBC pulling out doesn't surprise me at all. But I'm really proud of the organisers for standing their ground.
It was a weird infantilization of the trans pride movement and kind of a push towards a corporate pride, right, that we don't really own. So it was a weird one. I did see it.
No, exactly. It's quite the opposite of a corporate pride here. It's calling it anything other than protest is just utterly weird. What are you most excited for Trans Pride this year?
Oh, we're going to make a lot of noise. I think we've got 22 megaphones this morning, so we're going to be nice and loud, and everyone's going to know we're here.
Collection.
Yeah.
Just there.
And I'm hoping that it's going to be one of the biggest trans events in international history, right? So I'm excited to see so many trans people in one place yet again.
I'm excited just to be around as many trans people as possible. Right now it's so difficult navigating life, navigating work as an out trans person. So being around as many queer and trans people as possible and allies, it's just, I leave these events feeling so comforted and so filled with joy. So I'm excited for that.
No, exactly. It's so cathartic to just be out there with like a shit ton of trans people.
I'm looking forward to having some fun because I think at the moment a lot of anti-trans people would like us to feel despair. So I think it's really important that even on a protest we come together and we try to laugh and smile as much as we can.
Oh, exactly. All these people, it's so cathartic.
Also, Defund Transphobes had some really cool megaphones, so of course Alex had to follow up with Sophie on that.
Looking at this collection of megaphones, they're all some of them are really nicely decorated. What's your favourite?
I paint them all.
Oh no, so this is like choosing your favourite child.
Oh, I know. So we're actually missing some of the painted ones at the minute. We've got more coming, would you believe it? I like the green one though, the Charlie XCX Brat megaphone. That's quite fun.
I think Flint will appreciate that one.
Yeah. That white vine one is a duplicate of a previous one that was smashed in a protest. And we rebuilt it. Yeah, we get a lot of megaphones smashed at our protests.
Oh, so someone just grabbed it and...
Yeah, I think we've lost about 10 or 15 in the past.
I think my one's the little trans flaggy one with the... what do you call it? Tie-dye sort of look?
Yeah, that one's quite nice. That was my first one.
Oh, that is such a cool one. But yeah, thank you for chatting and yeah.
No worries. Have a good day.
You too.
150,000 people sounds like, I feel if there had been 150,000 people turning out specifically for trans rights in Berlin or Paris or something, we'd have heard about it.
Yeah, that's what
right?
I can't think of another number. And granted, I can't presume my omnipotence and my ability to just know all big trans news. But I also feel like we would have seen that kind of mass gathering trickle down into some. The fact that it wouldn't be widely reported on here is still something that I think would be picked up by people as like, hey, the BBC is reporting on this. So I hesitate to say yes, that's definitely, but I, on the face of it, don't disagree.
The BBC did report on it, but you had to go to like the second page of their news website to actually find the article. Like, you couldn't just go to click on BBC London and whatever. It was on like the second page of everything. That's where you'd find it. So you specifically had to go looking for it if you wanted to find it. So no one who wasn't aware of it already would be told knew about it. So,
and specifically it's because they wanted to cover it more extensively, but as a celebration.
Yeah, not a celebration, babes.
Yeah, so obviously because they've pushed back on it, and obviously you've heard our interviewees push back on it, it feels, honestly, spiteful. And it feels straight up unprofessional. When the people that you're wanting to work with on a story are saying, hey, the framing that you're using for this, actually, just to correct you on this, or, just to make sure that you're being accurate as possible, we don't see it as that. This is actually how this functions. For that to then mean that you don't report on it, for that to then mean that it's treated like this feels weird considering the specifics of the scenario, right? Not to say that a journalist isn't, able to turn down a story or decide that a piece is better not written at a certain time because, of framing or whatever. But that's obviously not what's happening here. That's obviously not what's happening here. What's happening here is you wanted to try and cover it as like, here's a cute fun party and allow it to be sanitized. And then when it was very clearly and obviously stated from the off, no, that's not what we're doing, and that's not what we want you to do here. That's not what we're comfortable with you doing here. They went, oh, all right then. But then again, disappointed, not surprised.
There's quite a lot of histrionics coming from the BBC.
There is.
So I think London Trans Pride's kind of only going to get bigger because the story in the trans community on Blue Sky and on the few people who are still unaccountably for some stupid reason using Twitter are going to, hear about it more and more, and they're just going to think, all right, fine, I'm going to go to London next year for London Trans Pride, and there's just going to be more and more of us every year. And I don't imagine every single person in that 150,000 people was trans. There's going to have been a bunch of cis allies and stuff in there, because if it had 150,000, that would probably be the entire trans population of the UK.
What do you think about Christina's idea about maybe they didn't close down the roads? Because I kind of understand the logic of like, to close down the roads, you'd have to do XYZ certain things, like, as a point of procedure. That would mean sort of, on the books it's a much bigger thing because you have to sort of, and I wonder, like, I don't know the specifics of all of that. So, this is speculating for the fucking sake of it right now, just to be clear. What do you think of the idea that, they were like, no, we're not going to close down the fucking roads. Because, we're not gonna let it be all that. And see if that helps deter some people.
Yeah, I don't know why they would think it would, given that we're undeterred by literally society, So the idea of saying, oh, well, no, we're not going to close down roads because then they'll be stood around waiting for a while. Fine. Then we will stand around, well, in my case, sit, but we will hang around and wait for it to go through. And in the end, they did end up closing some streets, didn't they?
Which also then does poke a hole in Christina's idea, I guess. Yeah, I think that London Trans Pride is probably gonna get bigger. I'd like it to continually get bigger. That would be good. And I like the fact that it's still keeping pretty core and keen to its protest function and sort of statement. I would absolutely hate it to ever go the route of Pride in London. Personally.
Yes, yeah, or what Manchester Pride used to be.
Yeah, but I also think that that's probably a good portion of how many of the organisers of London Trans Pride feel, because otherwise you'd be having a trans block at Pride in London.
Yeah.
Instead of making it such a big thing for you and your community straight up. So, I don't have many fears of that. And it's nice, it's heartwarming, it's lovely. Each year I like to make a little personal guess as to how many people I think are going to be there. And each year I have underestimated. And I love that fact. That's one of the nicest ways to be wrong.
That's a good one. That's a good way of being wrong. I like it.
Sometimes I love being wrong because oftentimes I think that it's sometimes easier to spot a bad thing on the horizon than a good thing. And so oftentimes I'm like, fuck, I have a feeling that this is the way that something is happening or this might be going to occur. But I'll often say to myself, please be wrong. Be wrong.
Yeah. Just this once.
Let me be wrong, And then when I am, it's like, yay!
Woot! Now, this story only popped up yesterday as we record this on the 29th. Now, for those not steeped in political party culture, all the parties tend to have a big autumn conference, and some even have a feminist-minded women's conference alongside it as well. We're thinking of one particular political party here, the one, the red one. The Labour Women's Conference is scheduled to take place in late September in Liverpool as part of the main Labour conference, which is happening at the same time. However, a bit of a spanner has been thrown into the works this year by 4 major unions, each announcing that they will boycott the Women's Conference due to its decision to bar trans women from formal proceedings at the event. Unison, ASLEF, USDA and the Musicians Union have announced that they won't be participating in the Women's Conference, and these are some big unions among some of the Labour Party's biggest backers financially. Unison, the Public Services Union, one of the largest unions in the UK, represents well over 1 million workers and has given Labour just shy of £44 million over the last 25 years, and a spokesperson for Unison said, "The unions decided against sending a delegation to Labour Women's Conference this year. This is because the party's restrictions on access run counter to Unison's policy on trans equality." Similarly, the shop workers union USDA have also confirmed that they too will be boycotting the conference. A spokesperson for that union said, "The unions decided against sending a delegation to the Labour Women's Conference this year. This is because the party has excluded trans women, which runs counter to USDA's policy on trans equality." I feel like the same person wrote those two statements, to be honest, but it's getting to the same point. Stop discriminating against trans women or we'll stop sending you money, or at least that's the point I hope it's getting to. Because the thing is, this isn't just about things like all women's shortlists. Labour have ruled that trans women will not be permitted in the main conference hall itself. So that is literally relegating us to the fringes. This is one space we are literally banned from entering, but will there be more to come? In response to Labour's decision to ban trans women from attending, the Trans Solidarity Alliance's director, Alexandra Palmer-Yee, said, quote, "Clearly there's no real justification for banning trans women from a conference. This is just one example of a broken legal framework for trans equality. For trans people, access to everyday public life is becoming harder and less safe, while organisations like businesses, charities and the NHS are getting caught in the crossfire of endless legal cases. Andy Burnham can fix this, putting this issue to bed with a fair and workable approach. But if he doesn't act, this will end up being Labour's legacy on LGBTQ+ rights for generations to come." But in a completely tone-deaf response, a Labour Party spokesperson said, quote, "Labour is committed to advancing women in politics and to providing opportunities for all members to network, debate and contribute. Labour Women's Conference reflects our commitment to addressing the underrepresentation of women in the party, inclusion for all, and compliance with the law." Like, inclusion for all, fucking pretty big asterisk over the all there, I feel. Oh my god. They're just blind to it or deliberately ignoring it. So come on, what do you think?
Yeah, this is deliberately fucking obtuse. This is deliberately fucking that response at the end. Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, I'm pissed because frankly, if you were committed to advancing women in politics, you'd be allowing trans women in the fucking building.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as. But you're not. And you know you're not. And you're just, yeah, no. Flames.
that statement at the end there is the same kind of bland equalities statement that you could have put out 5-10 years ago, right? When things looked a little bit rosier, saying, Labour is committed to advancing women in politics and providing opportunities for all members to network, debate and contribute, right? And it would have worked back then, but now it's so hollow. It's like ringing as hollow as, dignity, safety and inclusion, or whatever the phrasing is that we will get to, trust me.
Yeah. Strong and stable, and that's how you kill a dog or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever
I don't know.
Tories do. This is fucking repugnant. The thing is that I'm
Will they allow trans men?
They would allow me, and that pisses me off because that would also be a denial of myself and who I am and how I operate.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the fundamental issue of this, is that the bioessentialism is so fucking, it puts blinkers on you. It puts these ridiculous blinkers on you that means that you just end up projecting whatever the fuck you think onto other people. I mean, I know that's a human thing that we all do in certain aspects and points and times in the day, but not like this, not fucking borderline clinically. Let's move on.
Let's move on to our favourite bit of the room, that little corner.
Oh, yes. So now we've built up a lot of tension. Let's expel it.
Losers Corner.
Good for relieving my tension.
So, this week we have a loser coming out of Ireland, and it's a classic. Meet Sarah Morrison. You'd be forgiven for thinking she works in a supermarket, but she actually was an employee with Belfast Film Festival. She was an important part of it too. She clearly cares for the city she lives in and making sure that people are treated well, because her role in BFF was Inclusion and Audience Development Coordinator, both ensuring that audiences kept coming back and were having the best time, and ensuring that while the festival does these things, it's properly diverse and welcoming to everyone. She also liked to get active in her local community too, even speaking at a rally in 2023. In fact, this is the rally that kicked everything off. Why? Well, because Belfast Film Festival's Inclusion and Audience Development Coordinator was publicly speaking at a Let Women Speak rally. Yeah, that sounds pretty fucking contradictory, doesn't it? Well, various other organisations saw this and had the same thought. They reached out to BFF to ask, what's up with this like? I mean, okay, right, I'm paraphrasing that. They were genuinely inquiring about her presence and saying it was obviously concerning that an inclusion officer would be speaking for an anti-trans group who are arguing for less inclusion. Anyway, BFF get back to them and they were like, yeah, we don't actually know. We're going to check this out for you because that's understandable. Literally, they decided to open an investigation to look into the impact that this situation had in regards to core elements of her work and the role that she had in Belfast Film Festival. Morrison's took it as well as you'd think, because, well, we know the playbook by now. Are you a transphobe and employed somewhere? Have you had a colleague or a boss suggest for a second that your values of total denial that trans rights are human rights might not be the superior moral high ground that you assert it to be? Fear not! The Galbraith Guide to Tribunal Law has you covered. Just sign off work with sick when facing consequences to your actions, resign citing stress, and then take your former employer to court.
Settlements may vary.
Yeah, exactly. Settlements may vary. You are not guaranteed to move the needle on trans exclusion, but expected side effects include members of your family, friends, and local community beginning to give you a wide berth before you eventually realise you haven't received a single birthday card for the last 10 years. Be warned that if you fail in your endeavour, you may have your likeness publicly recorded, actions and statements used for petty entertainment in hyper-niche news podcasts. Anyway, what her specific claims were is that she was investigated for her political opinions and that this was a direct discrimination that led to her leaving the role. The courts looked over this and ruled against her in every turn. They literally dismissed it in its entirety. Instead, finding the investigation consisted of following up on complaints, addressing reputational issues, talking with stakeholders and other stuff. And, on top of this, they were following their procedures and they were not doing anything that constituted a hostile or degrading environment. So, after having her day in court, do we think that she took a second to reflect? Maybe reassess? No! Of course not. After the judgment, Supermarket Sarah gave a big thanks to the Alliance Defending Freedom, Maya Forstatter, JK, and Glenna, and more. Just fully, like listing off a Ford conveyor belt of the only sleep paralysis demons that have managed to push through into the real world. Oh, and that jab earlier about Rowling's legal remuneration? Well, it wasn't any less inaccurate for the sake of being a joke. Our supermarket sweeper has her case, at least in part, funded by her. She is meddling in other countries' affairs for the sake of our expulsion from common life. And I know that we have an all-grifter rule, but I think we may have to accept that she is too legitimized to be considered a grifter now. She is currently operating more like the ADF, like Christian Concern, and is weaponizing any connection or coin that she has, and is sat there with her birds of a feather, with her ladies who lunch, plotting for a day she will never fucking see. And to that point, not like I'm about to go and defend a single fucking transphobe when I know that they wouldn't piss on me if I was on fire. Likewise. But I can't help but think that when JK is doing this, there is a power dynamic at play, right? Like, I'm not saying that it is definitely true for this specific case, but still, people are having their legal fees bankrolled who likely wouldn't be able to otherwise. There is a fealty that finances get you in this world that we as a culture have encouraged since day. And I wonder, in however many years from now, when we are still here and they have still failed, how many people that she has sugar-mothered are going to realise that as much as they were earnest in their hatred, it allowed them to be used like a chump by a woman who is more focused on her glory and legacy as some auditor of all womanhood than any single woman's safety. And she doesn't care how many people's reputations are blown up on a national or international level, playing legal games that still, more often than not, result in a loss.
I also do just want to say that this Sarah Morrison case is yet another example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's another one into that particular filing cabinet drawer. I don't know if we're keeping these things in an actual filing cabinet, in which case put it in. Anyway,
who is the poor archivist in that situation?
I think it's us. I think it's both of us.
Oh no!
We're like the hooded monks. I think a grifter is somebody like Riley Gaines, who is trying to rile up. You see what I did there? Literally trying to rile up an audience to get a YouTube following and whatever, trying to grift money out of people. Blair White does that. Riley Gaines does that. It's arguable that Ben Shapiro does that. Charlie Kirk did that. So J.K. Rowling is no longer trying to grift money out of that system of hatred, out of YouTube, out of having a podcast and whatever. She's made her money. She's now the hatred dispensary.
Yeah.
The arsenal of transphobia, basically. You know, the US used to be the arsenal of democracy. J.K. Rowling's the arsenal of transphobia. Because literally, if you want to do something transphobic, and she has said this on Twitter, if you want to have a legal case that's transphobic in nature, if you've got a legal case against Amnesty UK, I will fund it for you. Literally said that in a tweet. I can provide you with the link, root and branch. Yeah. So I don't think she's a grifter anymore.
She just wants to be able to sit there and say, anytime someone needed something, I was there and said, yes, I'll give you whatever millions you need. And she is, because she developed her millions, and because she's due to soon have another influx of that, because there is that fucking god-awful TV show that's going to be coming. And again, as much as it is a done deal in so many of our circles, we're not going to fucking watch that thing, we're not going to go fucking near that thing, debatable how many of us even have a subscription service to whatever fucking play. I don't even know where it's going to be playing. Cis folk don't know that. They don't know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not thinking about it in these terms. And when you explain to them, it's not. the annoying thing is, and this is just me ranting a little bit now. But
only now.
When you explain, yeah, I know, right? Where does it end? You can sit down and say to someone directly, "Hey, You pay your monthly dues to whatever service, and you know that money doesn't go directly to her. You put on a TV show, and you don't think about how, you may recognize that a tiny, tiny portion of money is going to go to her as a result of that. But you need to understand that is currently, you are one droplet in a waterfall. And that is not a reason to stay in this waterfall. It is direct. It's as direct as the water cycle. That little money in that waterfall, it's gonna go downstream, and it's gonna end up poisoning the fucking land of the people that have to live around it. Which is, the trans people that have to exist surrounding the cases, the Rose Hendersons, the Beth Uptons, the people who are vilified in these cases, and they still don't get it. Oftentimes, they still just don't get it. And at this point, it's because fundamentally, the thing that changes people's minds is not as simple as facts and logic. I mean, it can be, but it's not always. And this is part of why the right has been able to be so successful, is that they have tugged on every fucking heartstring they can while denying that they're doing a single element of it. Meanwhile, we're trying to win hearts and minds by being as factual as we can, and normally cleaning up whatever bullshit they're doing. But that's the thing; it takes an exponential order of magnitude amount of more energy to dispel any bullshit than it does to spread it.
Yep.
And then that's why Trump is able to just come up with shit.
Yeah.
As he likes.
Well, we talked about this last time, like the fire hose of misinformation is difficult to stop.
Yeah.
But I think just now, right here, let's celebrate the win. Because J.K. Rowling didn't go her way. They lost the case.
All of that money's wasted. It's wasted.
And probably
Gone
now,
nowhere.
And now probably has to be paid to the Belfast Film Festival. So, well done on J.K. Rowling for supporting the arts? Question mark?
Debatable whether J.K. Rowling has had a net contribution or harm to the arts, really, when you consider her artistic output and then her actions.
Her quote-unquote artistic output.
Yeah.
I think we're a little hungry.
Ooh, yes.
I think we're going for it. I think it's time for some meat.
How can you make pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Om nom 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 nom. So as you may have heard, we have a new Prime Minister.
My goodness, you're here.
Oh, what a game. What a game. Legit though, as you might have heard, we have a new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, the former mayor of my neck of the woods in Greater Manchester. By the time this episode goes out, we will know who his replacement is as the mayor of Greater Manchester, but the voting for that was literally today as I record this, so you'll have to forgive me for not mentioning it too much.
Burnham intends for there to be a number 10 in the north, creatively titled Number 10 North.
Yep.
It's up and running and currently located in Manchester City Centre. In principle, I do like the idea of a secondary northern base for a Prime Minister, although I would personally prefer to be northeast. But I'd hope it stops them from becoming too London-brained, which I would argue is a problem the rest of the country has been dealing with the consequences of for a long time. I'll be keeping a closer eye on prime ministerial politics than I used to because I'm interested to see who'll try and sabotage Burnham and if it works or not. However, the whole number 10 North thing is pretty new and we need to talk about some of the other stuff, specifically Burnham's chosen cabinet and their respective records on trans rights. Honestly, it's probably best to say right at the top that it's a very mixed bag.
The ones that concern us the most are the simplest. Bridget Phillipson is keeping her seat as Minister for Women and Equalities, and Shabana Mahmood is staying on as Home Secretary, both of which... not the best news. Phillipson, as you almost certainly know, dear listener, was only too happy to kowtow to the institutionally captured EHRC when they issued the first draft of their guidance late last year. She also ignored the Joint Committee on Human Rights and the Women and Equalities Committee when they expressed concern about hiring Mary Ann Stevenson for the top job at the EHRC, and hired her anyway. It just feels like she's the same sort of inequalities minister we had under the Tories.
And Shabana Mahmood. Well, there's a whole other batch of problems here. In late April last year, after the Supreme Court ruling, Mahmood, who was Justice Secretary at the time, said that it was, quote, absolutely unacceptable to question the validity of the Supreme Court ruling. When speaking to the Joint Committee on Human Rights, she said that the Supreme Court justices had, quote, provided the legal clarity in their legal decision, which is exactly their job. As Home Secretary, Mahmood proposed making changes to the immigration system that makes refugee status temporary. Housing support was no longer guaranteed. New, safe and legal routes into the UK were created, thus allowing anyone who arrived by a different route to be deported, and extended the standard qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain from 5 to 10 years. This absolute monster has kept her job.
However, also staying in post as Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Secretary was NP for wonderful Wigan, Lisa Nandy. She was initially appointed in 2024 after that year's general election. Nandy has been a consistently outspoken voice for trans rights, being pictured at Wigan Pride in August 2025 wearing a Protect the Dolls t-shirt. Terminally online discourse about the use of that phrase aside, it's a visible symbol of support for the trans community, and she was wearing it after the Supreme Court ruling. She also made some comments at a fringe event of the Labour Party conference, which, well, honestly, they were less good. At this event, specifically around trans inclusion in sports in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling, she said that there are, quote, some sports where it's perfectly possible to include everybody and still meet those principles. We're going to be led by the sporting bodies in this, but we want to make sure they're as inclusive as possible while understanding there are limits to how possible that is in some sports. So she's voicing support for trans women competing in some women's sports, allowing individual sporting bodies to decide. A stance, by the way, that she shares with new Foreign Secretary Ed Miliband.
Yeah, I think this is something that we in the industry call a fair weather friend, maybe?
Maybe. Well, we'll see.
We'll see. But enough of this parade of the same faces. Who is new? Angela Rayner is back in the cabinet after an absence of several months caused by a kerfuffle over stamp duty. Rayner used to comport herself as a trans ally, saying in 2020, "You'll always have an ally in me, and I will always fight to make sure things are changing and does change." Then, like Nandy, at a fringe event at the Labour conference in 2021, she said that women's rights and trans rights were not in conflict. So that's good, right? You know, she's an ally and shit. Well, a little bit more recently, a couple of months ago, Rayner, or more likely one of her staff, wrote and sent an identical letter to a number of her trans constituents. A letter which managed to use the whole dignity and respect bit 3 times over the course of a few paragraphs, which would be almost impressive if it wasn't so lazy. Looks like she is not an outspoken ally anymore. Maybe a ghost-written one?
Yeah, almost certainly.
Probably.
And in Wes Streeting's old job as Health Secretary, we have former Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, who seems to toe the party line on trans rights. In 2022, she was asked the bullshit dog whistle question, "What is a woman?" and she refused to define it, saying she didn't want to go down a rabbit hole over the question, which, okay, fair enough. But then more recently, in April 2025, after the Supreme Court ruling, and God damn it, I'm sick of that coming up, there was a protest in London about it, after which there was some chalk graffiti left on pavements and statues in Parliament Square. Cooper describes this criminal damage as disgraceful. The full statement being, criminal damage like this, including statues of men and women who fought for freedom and justice, like Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, criminal damage like this, including to statues of men and women who fought for freedom and justice like Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela and Millicent Fawcett, is disgraceful, and it is right the police are investigating. Now, obviously, it's grievously humorous to see Churchill on a list of people who fought for freedom and justice, but we're just going to have to skip past that to get to the next thing.
Because the next thing is our new defence minister. Wes Streeting! Okay, listen, I assume we won't really need a missile defense program. He can just fly up and destroy any incoming missiles with his evil powers, assuming the attack happens at night, of course. Seriously, do any of our listeners need a reminder about what Streeting did as Health Secretary? I think that genuinely, if I end up in a home at like 90 years old, one of the names I'm going to remember for fucking ever is Wes fucking Streeting. Anyway, he completely banned puberty blockers against the advice of even the cast review because puberty is a natural process, and he didn't want to interrupt it. Something I'll be sure to mention to him if he ever gets cancer. Moving on.
Let's talk about Louise Hay. For many years, she seemed to be a one to watch. She became the youngest ever female cabinet minister in July 2024 at the age of 36. She posted positively just this year about all the positive moves the Labour government has made since she joined it in 2024. In the Burnham government, she's the first Secretary of State, which is the senior-most cabinet minister and the de facto deputy to the Prime Minister. But before this, she's also gone on record saying that the Labour Party should be a safe space for gender-critical views, but not for transphobic rhetoric.
Okay. These two things are the same thing.
That's exactly right. Which, okay, those are the same thing, Louise. They rebranded it, but it's the same thing. It's the whole point of the term gender critical.
They're the same picture.
Anyway, when Hay was speaking to Sky News, she said that she and her Labour colleagues welcomed gender critical debate. I do understand that colleagues and friends have felt unable to express their views, and I will always want the Labour Party to feel like a safe space for those views. Really, Louise? All of your colleagues welcome that? Do they? See how Nadia Whittome feels about it?
So, there we are. An extremely mixed bag, and as always, we'll have to see what happens next. Burnham himself has been supportive of trans rights in the past, and on this very podcast, no less, many moons ago. He had attended and given a speech at an event in Manchester, and Michelle and Ashley bent his ear for a quick chat. But it was in the Corbyn days, so he spent most of his time talking about anti-Semitism. How are you feeling about this? Because I feel like it's much more important for you than me.
Well, yeah, with the whole trans... Well, I'm feeling really annoyed that these people made me look at their histories and all the stuff they said, right? Because full disclosure, listeners, I wrote this segment, as you might have been able to tell, but just... So for me, you know, I'm glad I've got Lisa Nandy, and I am delighted she's the MP for the town where I grew up. You just kind of wonder if her being supportive of trans people is going to hamper her career, you know? Number 10 North sounds great. You know, as mentioned, I think we're up for that in principle, because I'm really sick of prime ministers being too London-brained.
I mean, I would prefer just Northern independence, but I'll settle for what I can get right now.
That's fair. Yeah. I say we go and join Holyrood and, you know, become part of Greater Scotland.
I think that there should be maybe a fun little alliance of Cymraeg, Scotland, and Ireland. Please, annex the North. Annex the North. Annex the Northeast, at the very least. Just annex the North, please. I beg you. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. The English could never fully keep you down. Come on! Take some back! This is not an incitement of violence.
Anyway, because I'm sick of prime ministers being really London-brained and all the stuff they ever do, and the transport stuff that's ever approved is like, you know, oh, we're going to spend 25 million on transport regeneration projects and 23 million of it is going to be spent in London and nowhere else gets any pieces of the pie. I think having a number 10 in the North is a solid idea. Good shout. Nice thinking, Andy Burnham. Yeah, exactly. But in terms as trans people, keeping Bridget Phillipson in as Equality Secretary does not send a good message to us, does it?
Unless it sends the message you want it to send.
Indeed.
Expect nothing to change. I have made my deal with the devil, and that is, I will not be what you want me to be. I'm going to be what the party has decided I need to be for it to sustain itself.
Yeah.
So I know that I read the paragraph that was like, I'll be watching Parliament more closely. I personally am less likely to.
I will.
When Keir Starmer came in, I knew immediately what that was going to look like, and it looked exactly like what I thought it was going to look like. Mainly because I knew his history in the Criminal Prosecution Service. Yeah, so when I seen what he'd done in the Crown Prosecution Service, I was like, oh, I've seen this beast before. Burnham, I know nothing about. We've got a whole gala about how much Parliament doesn't fuck with us. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's I understand the number 10 North thing. It does remind me of 64 Zoo Lane. I can't help but think this is cute, but is it a spectacle, Andy?
Yeah, I've wondered that.
I think that works if you are making. Listen. Here's the thing: if you're making this a multifaceted effort to make sure that there is more structure and support for the North, then I get that. If not, then forgive me for sounding rude, but it's just gonna come across like you're another MP with another second fucking home that is claiming it. I learned what gentrification was a few years ago, and it feels pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I can't think, I don't know, I just think a little bit of Crusader Kings, and when you send a vassal to a county that you've got low control in, sometimes it feels a little bit like that. What I'm saying is, I am pessimistic as ever. I will still hold out hope. The proof is going to be in the pudding.
Oh, I'm right with you, and there's a part of me that's optimistic, saying, "Oh, cool, a number 10 in the North, in Manchester, no less. Maybe that'll, maybe that'll result in some well thought out policy." But it probably won't, because, as you say, it's the message that's been given so far is it's going to be more of the same, and you transes need to just sit down, shut up, and accept your lot.
But you know what the fun thing is that Andy Burnham only has to take up as much presence in our minds as we fucking want him to. So how about we move on to some vibey little trans joy?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Trans joy. So, Molly Kitsune Toru says both AQA and OCR have agreed to send me GCSE certificates with my current name, free of charge and with no issues. Awesome. It's nice when they do that.
I did not know you could do that.
Yeah, you just get in touch with them. They'll send you out a new certificate.
Oh, I mean, I'm literally unemployed, but that's a vibe, because I also don't have them because they're at home. I say at home. They're at my mum's home. They're fucking long gone. Anyway. Ellen says, it was my birthday yesterday and I was given £125 special edition of The Silmarillion. It's one of the most beautiful books I own. That is amazing. That's wonderful. Sometimes you can see something like that and it feels really personal.
A photograph was included along with this post, and it does indeed look fucking beautiful. Fungal Art Person, friend of the show, says it was awesome to attend Trans Pride and to see just how loved and supported and strong the trans community is, even if things in our country are shit, we're not going anywhere. Aside from, that is, my best friend from Estonia finally visited me in the UK and we had a whole week of adventures. I saw one of my favourite bands ever, Queen Bee, and danced my heart out to their queer music. It was awesome. And we also went to see an exhibition of Escher with Alex, who was also on the show.
Yeah. And Laura says, Nottingham Pride was amazing. Nuff said. Hell yeah.
Brilliant. Love a good pride. Jess Kate Socks says, I'm in Amsterdam and it's gay weekend. There's gays all over the streets, hanging from the windows and in the stores. Again, photos were included. And yeah, there's flags fucking everywhere. Love it.
It's a lot of gays. A lot of gays. It's the gay gays. Samantha Duke says, not prepared to share all the details, but I've had a really hard year. 2026 has been an anvil repeatedly dropping on my head with only sporadic breaks. It has made me physically sick. Stress aggravates a chronic condition that I have, and not to put too fine a point on it, it is painful and disabling, and has rippling knock-on effects. But I can finally see the light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. It's tiny and still a ways off, but I can see it. And that's better. My health is even improving about it. That's phenomenal. I know what it's like to be in those ditches. It's awful. So, yeah, good on you for getting yourself through it and out of it.
Thanks for sticking with us. Kit says, took my friends to Trans Pride London and they had a great time. Good.
Hey. Aria says, Pride turned out to be a lot of fun. We also had our city's first ever dyke march on Friday, organised by trans dykes, so no turf bullshit. I made signs. Also, a few weeks ago, I donated some of my clothes to a recently out trans woman. They don't fit me anymore because my boobs got too big. She lit up wearing the second dress I ever bought.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And Katie says, I had a blast skating in the Not Pride Parade. Brilliant.
Mayo Kachu says, I was down at to attend an assembly for Trans Pride organisers from all around the UK and Ireland. I also had the best and most expensive martini of my entire life. Then went to a wonderful lesbian bar, and then, of course, attended London Trans Pride with other Trans Pride organisers. Hard to get a sense of the scale nearer the front. Suffice to say, trans people and allies as far as the eye could see was a breathtaking experience. Genuinely, the biggest trans rights protest in history. It was hot, my feet hurt, it was brilliant. It really was an amazing, if surreal, weekend. Exhausted, but energized.
Yeah! Awesome. Thanks for being part of the organising of Trans Pride London. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Just to say, I was down at was because they'd included a very specific sort of building location, and I was like, probably best to not put that on the show.
Yes.
So I edited that out. So apologies for doing that, Mayukachu, but you know, I'm sure you understand the necessity.
I, on the other hand, apologise for nothing.
Anyway, so Alice Proper Nico says, I had a remote appointment with the Laurels. Getting HRT and hair removal on the NHS is underway, but I have to lose some weight to get referred for bottom surgery. You and me both, Alice. I get you. I understand.
Whenever I hear someone talk about having an appointment at the Laurels, it makes me think that their endocrinologist is like
the Hardys.
Stanley Laurel. Yeah. Would that it were. How fun that would be.
I know, that'd be amazing.
Katrina says, just looked at the first payslip since I got promoted. That's a lot more like it. Oh, and forgot one that I was saving up. I went LARPing last weekend. Thousands of people dressed up in a field, and there were trans and progress pride flags everywhere. I felt it was a totally accepting area, and it was great.
So I know of LARPing. I haven't gotten into it because, like, paying for costumes and stuff that are wheelchairy, like, it would be a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I know some friends that were into it. Anyway, and finally, Christina says, thanks to my fiancé, I've rediscovered how to make jelly. After the recipe was lost for years because of extreme dysphoria, we'll be trying my own jelly tonight. Fabulous. Enjoy it, darling. Mwah. Although, I guess, by the time you hear this, that night will have been several days ago. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, send us pictures in the chats, please, of the jelly. Thank you. That would be fun. Do you have any trans joy?
So I've get a lot of pain, difficulties and stuff. That's not great. But I think I've mentioned before is that I get like spasms in my back when I'm going to sleep. And so I'm then awake for quite a lot of the night until the spasms stop happening and let me sleep. But they've got me on a different medication now. Carbamazepine. All the medications get a song.
Carbamazepine.
Exactly. You get it. You know the song.
Hey.
So yeah, carbamazepine, and that seems to have done the trick. I've actually slept through the night for the first few nights in months, if not years. So yeah, I've had some trans joy. I've been getting to sleep.
Fuck yeah, I dig that.
How about you? You got some?
Oh, I've started crocheting again. That's
Cool.
providing me some good trans joy. Oh, I know. I'm fucking off to Croatia for a week.
Oh yeah, that's some good joy.
That's some good joy.
Yeah.
I've not been to Croatia before. If anyone's got any tips on cool things in Croatia, cool queer trans things in Croatia, yes, I've already scoped out the nearest gay bar. Yes, I'm absolutely going there. I am going with family, but I'm also the only person that's like near my age in my family because we've got like, grandparent, parent, and then siblings that are way younger than me. So I feel like I'm gonna have the right to be like, love you all. I also want to go and fuck off and be a 30-year-old in a foreign city for a second and just like enjoy a pint by myself on a beach. Do you know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah, do it.
So that's gonna be fun. I will hopefully come back with a little bit of knowledge and a lot of relaxation, which will be a vibe.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss my dog though.
Well, I look forward to your many tales of travel.
Yeah.
However, that's it. That's it for us.
That is it.
Thank you so much.
What the Trans is an entirely trans, entirely voluntary news organisation that this podcast is one part of. You can see our live reporting on Blue Sky and stay informed on Instagram. Want something more direct? Then check out our website that has all of our episodes, articles, and live reporting available in one spot. And don't worry, it's all AI free and will stay that way. If you want to help us keep this going, then we have a Patreon and a Ko-fi. All funding from those go to expenses and travel for our reporting. If you want to help out yourself, either with a pitch you'd like a platform for, or to be involved with the team itself, don't hesitate to reach out at contact@whatthetrans.com. And this episode of What the Trans was written and produced by Flint, Sammy, and Ashleigh, and presented by Ashleigh and Flint. It was edited by Amber Devereaux, with our opening theme music created by Waratsawa Yui Kolberg. Our episode thumbnail artwork was created by Currently Flint, but subject to change. We would especially like to thank our producer-level Patreons, who are Never Gonna Get You Up, Never Gonna Let You Down, Never Gonna Run Around and Desert You, Never Gonna Make You Cry, Never Gonna Say Goodbye, Never Gonna Tell a Lie and Hurt You. But this one was with emojis.
Yep. Stop sign, gonna give you up. Stop sign, gonna let you down, arrow.
No, keep going.
Okay. Stop sign, gonna run around and desert you. Stop sign, gonna make you crying face. Stop sign, gonna... Stop sign, gonna say wobbly hand. Stop sign, gonna tell a lie and... That's as far as it got. Anyway.
Whoever you are, I love you. You're fantastic. Right.
Alexandra Lilly.
Andrea Brooks.
Anubis the Jackal.
Anya.
Ariadne Pena.
B Squared.
Bernard's Pink Jelly Bean.
Bernice Roust.
Brandon Craig.
Break the System.
Carly Silvers.
Cassius Adair.
Kellen York.
Claire Scott.
Clara Vulliamy.
Crazy Richard!
Cinder Gosa.
Danielle Hardwick.
Dan Oblivion.
D.
DevKit Pro.
Dr. McGee.
Elizabeth Anderson.
Elle Gray.
Ellen Meller.
Eric Whitman.
Erin Carlson.
Irresponsibility.
Evan Lilly.
Fiona Punchard.
Flute Punk.
40 funny fairies forever fighting downplayed. Wait. 40 funny fairies forever downplayed by the BBC.
Frank Wynn.
Ghost Star.
George Simmons.
Georgia Holden Burnett.
Grabilicious.
Hannah Stevenson.
Hazel Dust.
Heather Peterson.
Heidi Reardon.
Helen
Imi.
Jem Hoskins.
Joanna Bittencourt Silvestri.
John.
Jordan Starr.
Kai Lewin.
Karakan 12.
Katie Cox.
Katie Fenn.
Kiki T.
Laura Bailey.
Laura! No, let's try that one. Laura, we have seagulls. There we go.
Lauren O'Nions.
Lee Downs.
Lentil.
Levi Hart.
Lex Phoenix. Hello, darling.
Lanus.
Leah Story.
Melissa Brooks.
Melissa Harker.
Mika.
Monsieur Squirrel.
Megatroid.
Mix Afon.
Naystrom.
Name.
Namida January Aneskans.
Now Art.
Needles and Threads.
Nick Ross.
Ontologically undressed.
Oshin.
Patreon user.
Rebecca Prentice.
Ren.
Roberto de Prunk.
Robin.
Root -1.
Rose Absolute.
S.A.P.
Sabrina Artis.
Samantha Raven.
Sarah.
Selena B.N.
Setcap.
Seth Brittain.
Siobhan Fergus Evans.
Sky Killane.
Sophie Lewis.
Stella.
Tanya B.
Ted Delphos.
Vesperland.
Tig Slater.
Tin Roof.
Toby.
Trowan.
Trust FND.
Vic Parsons.
Victory Egg.
Willow_tree. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Love you all. Good evening, good night, good morning, whatever time it is. Time is a construct. It doesn't matter.
Bye, darlings.
Bye.